We're going to go ahead and dive into the meat and potatoes of the 20,000 mile review and the pros and cons of this Ford Maverick. All right, let's head to our next destination. If you were to ask me who this truck is for, I'd say your average weekend DIYer that appreciates a bit of utility and functionality. Let me explain. The payload capacity on the Maverick XL is around 1,500 pounds. And in this landscaping project I did at my house, materials that I used, including the blocks and the mulch, totaled around just over 1,000 pounds. So 38 blocks and 10 bags of mulch. Here's the math. So about 80% of that was carried in one load, and I can tell you firsthand experience, the truck handled it relatively well. It did feel heavy and like it was glued to the road, but I never felt like the engine or transmission were struggling to keep up with that current payload. Now, the 1,500 pounds, I probably won't test that myself personally, but we'll get into the towing here in a bit. One more quick thing in regards to the overall pro of the vehicle is that it's good at a lot of things, but kind of a master of none, right? So with the bed being only 4.8 feet, some people consider that a con, and while in some situations it absolutely is, I was still able to fit this entire dresser in the back of my truck. I strapped it down so it wasn't going to go anywhere, and I was able to carry it and get into my house. So, you know, it depends on your circumstance, but you can definitely get away with doing a lot more with this truck than you might imagine. You just got to be a little bit creative. I want to go over some more of the kind of the cosmetics of the vehicle. So the exterior, the interior, just the overall look and feel of the vehicle. So as you can see, this vehicle is very sharp, and this is an XL, so it doesn't come loaded with tons of features, and we'll touch on that in a second. But even with what it does come standard with, it's a good looking vehicle. From the straight lines to some of the curves, it looks good. I know some people aren't a fan of the Steelies that come stock on like the basic XL. Some people like them, but my personal preference, they're not my favorite. But even still, not a bad look for this truck, especially with the all black look. My personal favorite look on this vehicle in terms of the exterior is the front end. I think it looks fantastic. It's super sleek, it's modern, and it doesn't really look like a Ranger or F-150. It kind of stands apart from the crowd. Now we can move on side to the interior. Being that it's an XL, and at the kind of base starting point, it doesn't come loaded with a fancy interior, which of course is a potential con of the vehicle. So some people say it's kind of plain interior. I like the simplistic look and feel of it, especially the door handles. These are fantastic. They're super easy to grab, you know, push and pull the door. I love that. The blue is not my favorite in terms of the interior. I like the black accent and the gray, but the blue is definitely not my favorite. I would rather have, I don't know what I'd rather have, honestly. I think in terms of the seats, again, since I got the XL, great starting point. So for a pro and con standpoint, the starting point is fantastic, right? But because it is such a new and hyped and wanted vehicle, you know, the demand is outrageous. With that starting point, you're generally going to pay over that because the resale value. So pro, great starting point. Con, the demand is outrageous, so resale is going to be really high. Of course, I forgot to put this down, so that looked like some really harsh lighting. Another con, and this is a recent thing that just came out, is the passenger side curtain airbag that is currently recalled. Not too big a deal considering I don't drive with tons of people. However, if I were to get in a bad accident and for some reason come out of my seatbelt and roll that direction, there might be a faulty airbag. I still need to get that looked at. I can go to a dealership and get that taken care of for free, so not too big a deal. All right, moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about towing. Here's a clip of me earlier this year actually taking my boat out. The boat's not super big, and if you want to see a complete build on that, up there. Anyways, boat's not super big. It's about 11 feet in length, fully loaded boat, trailer, and everything. It's in the neighborhood of about 800 pounds, and that's completely loaded down, heavy cooler, etc. So this vehicle having a 2,000 pound towing capacity, it handles the boat and trailer and everything honestly no problem. Like I can move and I hardly feel like it's behind me. The only reason I can actually really hear it behind me is my hitch. Because this is an XL, it doesn't come with a tow package, meaning you don't have your wiring harness or your towing hitch assembly or any of that. Because of the time when I bought this vehicle, the only option if you wanted to tow with an XL like mine was to basically buy a wiring harness and the assembly separate, but the hitch assembly and everything was so overpriced, and you had to remove the bumper in order to do it. So I kind of jerry-rigged it, so to speak, with the help of some very capable welders, and basically just bolted on our own hitch, essentially. If you want to see how we attach the wiring harness and we're able to tow legally and everything with no issues, go ahead and check this video up there. Something I did last year. But yeah, it was very helpful. I know a lot of people have commented on it, so this is a great way to do it, budget friendly. I know some people were concerned in regards to the towing. It's a 3,500 pound vehicle. This specific model, the XL, this one is front wheel drive, the EcoBoost, and I haven't had any issues in terms of backing in the trailer and pulling it up off a ramp. I know when it comes to towing, you either want 4-wheel drive, basically, or front wheel drive, right? Because if you're front wheel drive, you have that weight of the motor pushing down those wheels, giving you additional grip. Now, if you're just rear wheel drive, you don't have the additional weight and traction. And besides that, if your truck is in the water as you're dropping the boat in, it might be on slick algae, and it's just going to be a slicker surface on that ramp. So if you're just front wheel drive, I feel like that would be more beneficial. That's just my take on it. Obviously 4-wheel drive is going to be more beneficial in that circumstance, but I've never had any issues with my front wheel drive in terms of towing. Now let's talk fuel economy. This thing is fantastic. As you can see, I've been averaging 28 miles per gallon in the just over 23,000 miles I've put on the vehicle. So obviously that's a good mix of city and highway. And man, I'm absolutely loving it. Going from my old Ford Ranger, which had a 4-liter, to this just blows that out of the water. I was averaging like 15, maybe 16 miles per gallon in the Ranger, and this is doing 28 miles per gallon that I'm averaging. So 100% pro all the way. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move to our next location. We're gonna head out to the beach and basically just finish this review out there. Let's get on the road. Something worth mentioning real quick is the Apple CarPlay and Bluetooth. Those are obviously fantastic additions to this vehicle with the screen that it comes equipped with. In terms of Apple CarPlay, if you want to see a brief how-to of how to use that, go ahead and check my full review of the Maverick up in the corner up there. I go a bit more into detail with that, but again, those are great additions. So 2 thumbs up, 2 pros. The sound system is decent, for a stock vehicle. You can adjust whether the driver hears more of the music or the passengers in the back hear more of the music. And I know the camera's rattling like crazy right now. Sorry, this road's bumpy. But yeah, here are the speakers in the back, just to add to kind of that overall surround sound type feel. So the system in the cars, the bass isn't super amazing, but for a stock vehicle, can't complain. Pro. So I'm at the beach now, well, a few blocks down, because parking is an absolute disaster on Anamara Island now because it's so popular. Anyways, so let's go over a couple more things about the vehicle that I've learned to either like or dislike over this last 23,000 miles or so. So the storage in the vehicle is actually very great. They make good use of the space that you have. So you've got 5 seats in total, and the rear seat, as you can see, is kind of a bench seat with storage underneath, which has just been absolutely fantastic. I really like that, so definitely a pro. So after 23,000 or so miles, I have about 50% tread left on my tires, which I would say is relatively average considering, a mix between highway and city, nothing too aggressive. So I guess that's a pro. Stock Continental tires, can't complain. A great pro though is the Ford Pass Points program that you get enrolled with when you purchase a vehicle. And this ultimately means basically free services and potentially upgrades and stuff you can use towards the vehicle. The last oil change I just had done on my truck was actually the first one I finally had to pay for, because depending on the price of the vehicle will dictate how many points you get when you purchase them. I got around like $250 or so, I believe, give or take, in free basically points to use towards oil change services and to purchase things, which is honestly a great little incentive. So big pro there. Another con, and there's really not too many actual cons of this vehicle that I've come up with, but this one irks the hell out of me, if I'm being honest. So, and I don't know if it's the right side, but I know on the left side, the seal on the back door, when you go to open that back door, if it had previously rained, water tends to pool. And when you open it, water will then kind of leak in and hit your seat. It's not much, but it's enough to kind of cause issues and just get annoying. Like just little quality of life things like that. Ultimately though, this vehicle has served me incredibly well over the last year and a half. It's been my adventure vehicle. I've taken it all over. I've done all kinds of things with it. I'm always at the beach with it. So, you know, this truck has experienced lots of sand, lots of people in and out, and it's held up quite well. It's been a great utility vehicle and just great functionality. Big pro there for the adventure aspect. You know, what you can do to this vehicle is only limited by your imagination and your creativity. So the Maverick is a great platform you can build upon, whether you're customizing the bed, more things, the interior. I mean, it's limitless. Ultimately, for me, this vehicle serves me incredibly well, and I am incredibly grateful and appreciative I was able to purchase it. So ultimately, I'm 100% satisfied with the vehicle. I'd be curious to know what you guys think of your Maverick. Go ahead and comment down below what you like or dislike about your Maverick. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you want to see more, of course, subscribe, and of course, obliterate that like button. That being said, I'm Mitch, this is Michaela, and don't forget to live for today. See you guys next time.